Please. Attention, please. Call to order the Planning, Zoning, and Building Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderman Art Woods.
Here.
Alderman Curielli.
Here.
Alderman Carr.
Here.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Here.
Alderman Fasino.
Fasano here.
Fasano. Thank you. Alderwoman Ames.
Here.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Here.
And Alderman Catalano.
We have a quorum.
Here.
Thank you. I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes for June 11, 2026 of the Planning, Zoning, and Building Committee meeting. Thank you. Any corrections, modifications? There being none, all in favors? Aye. Opposed? Ayes carry. Motion passes. We have two reports tonight. The first is a text amendment clarifying contractors' registration requirements. Director Springer, do you have something to say?
I do, Chairman. I have a very short two-slide presentation for you. This is really a ministerial type item for clarification. So I wanted to start out explaining that all contractors that are performing work in the city are required to be registered annually. That's something we've had in place for a very long time. And the way we register people is we collect information about the contractor and their qualifications, their bond. We're basically collecting information. The responsibility for licensing, determining whether or not the contractor is qualified to do the work, rests with the state. So we register by collecting information. They evaluate by determining whether or not they're able to perform. So recently, a contractor had argued that the city's procedures were in violation of state regulations. And so the purpose of this text amendment is really to clarify that the city collects information to register contractors and we don't evaluate their qualifications, which the state does. So nothing is changing whatsoever related to our fees, our registration process, the way we operate, but the idea is to just clarify the regulations to protect us in the future. So the city and the staff, the city attorney and the staff are proposing amendments to explicitly state that the registration is ministerial in nature without evaluation of professional qualifications. And the intent is to align the city code with Illinois law to minimize potential future legal issues. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, Attorney Bond's office did prepare this text amendment, and so he'll be here at the City Council meeting if you have any technical questions related to this.
Anyone have a question? I'll make the motion to approve the text amendments.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Art Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Curielli.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Yes.
Alderman Fasano.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
And Alderman Catalano.
Yes. That passes. Thank you. Second report, zoning variations. Special use for a drive-through site plan review, plat of subdivision, and a text amendment for property located at 265 East Irving Park Road, Deuce's Wild Barbecue. Director Springer, do you have a few words?
I do have some slides. After I present, the petitioner would like to make a presentation, and they do have a video that they would show. I have that queued up for them. But I will review basically the variations being requested and the project as a whole, just in general terms. So I think everybody knows where the property is. I don't think I need to explain where it is. We're all highly familiar with it. The property itself is about a half acre. The petitioner is proposing to consolidate the parcels as required by the UDO. It was previously occupied by Tom Zach's Tap, and obviously it's currently vacant. This is the way the property looks right now. Again, I think we're all familiar with that. The zoning for this property is TCB, Town Center Business. It's one of our commercial districts. And what they are proposing is about a 2,800 square foot restaurant with a drive-through. The enclosed patio, which is this area right here, would be about 340 square feet. It would be usable year-round. So the total number of seats in both the enclosed patio and the restaurant itself is 58, and they are proposing 21 parking spaces on site. Stormwater will be handled below the parking lot, below the parking surface, and they are using some permeable pavers on the east end and the west end of the property, also to accommodate stormwater and lot coverage. Access to the site is proposed to be via existing curb cuts on Irving Park Road and back off of the alley. So this is a beautiful building that the property owner is proposing. Brand new concept. I'm sure he will tell you all about it. We are all very excited, as this is the home of the Sweet Baby Ray's current catering operation and restaurant. We're excited that the people that started Sweet Baby Ray's son, nephew, Deuce Raymond, is here and is interested in having his first location here in Wooddale. And it is a very attractive barbecue restaurant building. This is the view where the windows are in front. That is the view that faces Irving Park Road. And this is the view that faces Maple Avenue. So this evening, what is being requested is a special use for a drive-through, site plan review that's required with any special use, a plat of subdivision to consolidate the lots, a text amendment to the UDO to allow variations to landscape requirements throughout the city. I do want to stop on this one to make sure the council or the committee understands that up until now, previously and currently, petitioners have not been able to request zoning variations. So as a result, every project that has ever been built in Wooddale up until now has complied with the landscape ordinance. This petitioner is requesting a text amendment that would allow anyone going forward if the city council wants to approve the text amendment, to request variations from the landscaping requirements. So that is what that request is. They are requesting 14 variations and approval of a license agreement to allow some of the landscaping in the public right-of-way for Maple Avenue. I'll show you that a little bit later. And of course, anything that's not granted relief will need to comply with code. So I'm going to run very quickly through the variations, just so you're familiar with them. Obviously, there's a lot more information in your packet. I apologize for the length of it. But the front yard setback, and you can follow along, the numbers on the left-hand side of the screen correspond with the location of the variation that's shown on the map. So the first is a front yard setback, reducing the required 60 feet to 48 feet. A rear yard setback, reducing the requirement of 25 feet down to 20 feet. A parking setback to reduce the minimum front yard 8-foot parking setback to 5 feet. Parking location. Our code does require that parking spaces shall be located on the drive aisle side closest to the principal structure. So this is a more typical format for a site plan. We'll probably be taking a look at that provision in the code because it's a little odd, and if people want to back out of those parking stalls when there's a drive-through behind you, there's obvious traffic conflicts. The drive aisle width, they would like to reduce the requirement from 18 feet to 16 feet. Number of parking spaces reduced from the requirement of 25 feet to 21 feet. Parking lot perimeter landscaping. So this is to eliminate 100% this area over here on the right. Oh, that says 7. This says 7. Okay. So variance to eliminate 100% of the landscaping requirement for the parking lot abutting the west property line and reducing it down to 0. Note, if the city council approves the license agreement to allow landscaping in that area, in the public right-of-way, we can eliminate this variation request. They just don't have the physical room on the property to install the required landscaping. They are willing to install it along this west side, but a license agreement would need to be granted. The second, number 8, is a variance to entirely eliminate this landscaping along the east property line. There is a building in close proximity here. That building does have some minimal landscaping adjacent to the property line, and obviously that area is going to get a bit of shade due to the existing buildings being so close. The foundation landscaping is the third item, and it's a variance to reduce the landscaping from the required 5 feet to 2 feet, which isn't unusual because it's along the drive-through aisle for the pickup lane. There are other variance requests, including one for building materials, a variance to reduce the requirement to have 50% stone, brick, or other masonry down to 2%. And 4 sign code variations, a variance to allow the barbecue like a boss sign above the clearance bar of the drive-through. That is this one here. This signage is, unique to this development and attractive. The painted signage that the petitioner is proposing to, you can't kind of see it here, but paint a pig on the west side of the building associated with their barbecue business. Currently, the code does not allow painted signs, and this is a painted sign, so it does require relief. Canopy signs, variance for the canopy signs facing Irving Park Road. Again, this is one of those code requirements where we don't allow signs projecting above a canopy, but in this instance, it really is unique to their brand, and it does look attractive the way they are proposing it. They are proposing a variation for this sign over here. The circle is just a little bit off. That's my fault. But you're only allowed wall signs on the frontages that face streets. So the south-facing sign and the west-facing sign. This is not allowed per the code, and so they are seeking a variation for that. I mentioned the landscape license agreement. We will have that in your packet for next week that you can review. It's our standard license agreement that we generally offer, and what it would allow is landscape in the area that I've highlighted in red here, and that's because their parking really does go just about up to the property line, and they don't have the room for the required landscaping. Just some additional information really related to the conditions. The applicant did not yet submit a final landscape plan, so final site plan approval is conditioned upon submittal and approval of the final landscape plan. Changes may be necessary to the site pending IDOT review of the proposed driveway access. That approval is required prior to the issuance of a building permit for the property. And if IDOT does require some changes that trigger additional variations, the petitioner will need to come back for those. There is also a condition that the delivery area at the rear of the building not block the public alley when they're delivering. So the CDC did hold a public hearing on June 15th. They attacked it in 4 separate motions, but all of them were unanimous recommending approval. There is a long list of conditions. I'm not going to read through them, and I don't expect you to read from the screen. They're certainly in your packet, and I'm sure you've skimmed them before the meeting. And so that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer questions before the petitioner gets up and provides their presentation.
Mayor, please.
So you just said IDOT has to approve. If that's an existing driveway already, what do they need to approve?
So IDOT does require a permit for any modifications in their right-of-way, but also on their strategic regional arterials or SRAs, they do require approval and review for any new redevelopment. They look at it as a new site for new
Okay,
construction
got it.
redevelopment.
Alderman Woods?
So my question or concern is, obviously, everybody wants to build a building and move forward. What's the time frame if IDOT comes back and says you have to move that thing, I don't know, we'll call it 6 inches, minimal? Are you saying that they have to come back and
No.
go through another? So at what point what do we think would trigger that? I'm just trying to understand the timeline, because that would be, I'm sure it's important to them. If they said move it 10 feet, they would have to come back and go through the,
So they would not have to come back if there are changes proposed unless those changes trigger further variations. So let's say they moved it 10 feet, but they could swing it in and nothing else changed it on the site, or they just needed to change the angle of the parking spaces. Those are things that we would consider minor. It depends on the scope of the change. We just don't know what it will be. They have not, they basically said, you know, there may be some changes and we don't know what those are.
right, so unless, just for clarity, so that's what I was hoping for. So if they say you got to move it 10 feet for sake of this conversation, and they can adjust the parking or the pieces on the property, then we're all good, except for, obviously, staff has to approve
Sure.
the stuff they don't have to come back.
So, for example, they would already have a variation for the parking if the council approves this. And let's say they lost 3 more parking spaces because of this change. That is a further variation. We wouldn't necessarily stop them from moving forward while they sought the variation, but they would need to come back through the process to receive a greater variation.
That's my concern, that we
Yeah.
don't unduly burden them with another
Oh, sure.
whole. Thank you.
Alderwoman Ames?
So I was looking at just the renderings, and that map is a little,
Small.
well, that's, I think I get the gist of it, but with this being a much brighter and busier building than what's currently there, I know that Tom Zacks was there for many years, and then at Christmas, we have, no, it's on. We have the Christmas tree lot there, and there's traffic from that. But this looks like it will be a little bit brighter of a building. And what about the screening or whatever for the residents who live to the north of there? I don't know about lighting in this parking lot, like if all these signs are illuminated, if it's gonna be like a beacon of light in there. I'm just trying to picture what that looks like and how the residents, you know, would be protected from any lighting or noise issues.
Director
So,
Springer?
thank you, Chairman. So, yes, they will need to comply with the city's light shielding requirements so that all the lighting is facing down. They will need to submit a photometric plan that shows that they're not exceeding the maximum light that the code requires at the property line. And they are proposing some evergreen landscaping back in this area to shield the properties to the north.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Artie Woods?
Yeah, one of the takeaways watching the CDC meeting, the only negative really I heard, if it's a negative at all, is the safety concerns in the alleyway and some signage requests. Has that been addressed since? Or maybe the petitioner's going to speak about that, but is anything from the city side about that? I'm not super familiar with that alleyway, but it sounded like there were some safety concerns.
No, there was some discussion related to that at the CDC meeting. The alley is expected to handle deliveries and, passenger vehicle traffic from the neighborhoods or into the neighborhoods. And it is a two-way alley there, so we're not expecting, it certainly will be a slight increase, but the vast majority of people probably visiting this property will be entering from Irving Park Road.
Thank you. No further questions? Oh, Alderwoman Ames?
So the other thing that kind of jumped out to me was the building materials, where, any other building is 50% stone, brick, or masonry, and they're saying 2%. So how does that compare to what we've required from other businesses when they're redoing their buildings or building from, well, not redoing, they're actually building a brand-new building. That's quite a variance. That's not even half. So how is that okay?
So they, and I'll let the petitioner speak to that when it's their time to speak. I think they have invested in a designer that has designed this unique thing for them. And this is kind of a branding thing that they are looking forward to. You will remember that our code, even when I arrived, required 85% brick and stone and durable materials. And then we changed it recently, I think in April, to 50%. We made it less. We have granted a variation for this most recently, probably with Holiday. They went from their 50% requirement down to 36%. But you asked for the justification for it, and I think that's better coming from the petitioner.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yep, okay. We have another speaker.
Yes, I believe the petitioner would like to make their presentation.
Mr. Subak, yes, please. Please cite your name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Marshall Subak, S-U-B-A-C-H. I'm an attorney at Hunt and Subak at 1035 South York Road in Bensenville. I'm also a resident at 168 South Central Avenue in Wooddale. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I represent the petitioner, who is 265 Venture Partners, LLC. With me tonight is Joe Junius from the architect, from Area Group, Cliff Toberman, Mike Latoria, and also the founding member, Deuce. This is an exciting project for Wooddale. As a local attorney and a resident, you get excited about seeing projects like this with the redevelopment along Irving Park Road. I love Tom's X. It was a great place, but it ran its course, and it's time for redevelopment. When you look at redevelopment, the first thing you start with is the comprehensive plan. And it wasn't this city council, but it was previous city councils adopted a comprehensive plan. And if you, like me, spend a Sunday reading some of that stuff, if it keeps you awake, you start seeing along Irving Park Road here, they talk about redevelopment of this properties and these properties and needing concessions. Concessions is a fancy planning word for variances, that you're gonna have to grant some variances to get redevelopment. It also talks about wanting to keep the character of the neighborhood with respect to redevelopment. It also talks about wanting to have restaurants in this area. We're satisfying all of those comprehensive plan requirements. I do want to take the time to thank staff. Staff has worked tirelessly with us. Gosha knows your code very well, inside and out. Stacy's been very helpful, and I got to meet Kelly through this process. My clients had many meetings with staff. The whole team has gone and met with staff to go over code requirements, changes. This building originally started as a 2-unit building with a vacancy about a year ago, and then it was revised to the current plan. We're branding here. They're trying to build a brand, so you would see these all across the country, with the original one being in Wooddale. Alderman Ames talked about your concern about the 50%, why isn't 50% stone? It's branding. It's branding, and these guys have done, the designers are really good, and they designed this wanting that this is what they think they need their brand to look like to go forward. When I was on the city council, I understand residential buildings, sometimes we would say developers doing townhouses when they're all vinyl. Hey, we want some brick and stone on there. Materials have changed so much since the time that I've been on the council, and now there's cast stone on this building. Staff doesn't know if they're going to continue to call that stone or not. So, I mean, it's not vinyl siding. It's not cheap in any way. It's a brand, and so yes, we're asking for a large variance, but to stick, facade stone along the bottom just to say now we meet this requirement, I would respectfully ask Wooddale to look at the code requirement and say, for commercial buildings and residential, is that a realistic requirement anymore with respect to where building materials are these days? I mean, we want people to be attracted to Wooddale and be able to design what they want to build to brand it. And that's, you know, if the regulations get too overburdensome, that becomes a problem. So respectively, my client, this is what they want to build. They want to build it here in Wooddale. They could have went to any community, to be honest with you, but they want it to be here, but this is what they want to build. So that's why we're asking for that variance with respect to the building materials. The property is in the Town Center Business District. The restaurant is a permitted use. As far as the parking, they are going to have 21 spaces. Code requires additional spaces. As you go through the UDO, when it was passed, nobody really knew what it was going to mean until you started having these projects go forward. Restaurants have changed dramatically since COVID and before. The amount of people that sit down in a restaurant now versus when those codes were adopted, Uber Eats wasn't around, all the delivery services. My client thinks he'll have about 60% dining in, but probably 40% will be between drive-through, carry-out, Uber Eats, and then part of the catering business. So when you think about a parking variance, they don't want to have parking problems. They know what parking they need. So I always tell boards, don't worry so much about the code requirements. Ask the developer, the petitioner, what do they need? Example I can give you is Woody's. Woody's was almost not there because of the way they were counting the parking. I've never had a problem parking at Woody's. It's always fine. So I just try to tell people, don't get too tied up as far as what we're asking for. We meet a lot of the requirements of the comprehensive plan of just redevelopment, wanting restaurants, and wanting new developments. With my short introduction, and I told Stacy I would keep it short, I do want Joe Junius from ARIA Group to talk a little bit about the building materials and the design aspect of the building.
Do you say my address too?
Yes, please.
Okay, sorry. 260 North Willow Road in Elmhurst is where I live, but I work out of ARIA Group Architects. We're in 830 North Boulevard in Oak Park. Yeah, so to kind of further discuss the design, it took many hours to working with Deuce to create a building that creates an identity for what he's looking to bring, which is competition barbecue. There's a lot of family ties with him, and so ultimately where we started was with the barbecue, right, and with the grill, and so that's where the kind of the darkened, charred kind of wood look material comes to play on the front of this building. All the materials you mentioned earlier are durable. It's the brand name is Nichiha. It's a durable fiber cement material that is it's not real wood, and because of the durability concerns. There is a stone base that you can kind of see, it's a little lighter colored around the perimeter. That's also to keep that elevated from frost. And so that's kind of the reason and for that as well. The overall function of the site as well as of the building is to get people to wrap around. If you are to come and if you want to go actually up to 7, one page back for the site. If you are to come and either dine in or carry out, you have to park along the either the right side or the left side. But if the parking on the right is filled, you have to go around and park to this side. Out of the amount of people that we're anticipating being here, the majority are going to exit back onto Irving Park Road. Just based on the layout of the site, and again, the drive-through traffic really has no other way to go. With the building materials, the kind of fiber cement board clads 3/4 of it, with the back being a plaster material that again is durable, and creates kind of an identity for this concept. Thanks. Oh, I do have the materials here if you do need to further take a look at them. So, thank you.
Stacy, can you move it back to the variances that we're requesting?
Sure. Why is it not doing that? Okay, hold on.
You can call them variances, or the comprehensive plan says concessions, and that's, I know 14 is, I heard the call, 14 is a lot, but if you break them down, 3 of the variances go to setback requirements. So the UDO, when it was passed, said that front yard has to be 60 feet, you have to be 60 feet setback from Irving Park Road. Irving Park Road runs on an angle. Not easy to do. If you want development along Irving Park Road, you're going to see a lot of variances from that 60-foot setback. We're asking to go to 48 feet 5 inches. The rear setback is supposed to be 25 feet. We're going to be at 20 feet 9 inches. And then the parking setback off of Irving Park Road is supposed to be 8 feet. We're asking to go to 5 feet. The next variances are the parking variances. Again, there's 3 of those, and one of them deals with the drive aisle from 18 feet to 16 feet. General contractor reached out to the fire district. The fire district didn't formally approve it, but they looked at the plan and they had no issues with the drive aisle width at the way they are. They did ask that a sidewalk be installed, so part of the plan does have a sidewalk around Maple. If there's, God forbid, there's a fire at this place, they're going to be either parking, probably most likely along Maple or in the alley. But they do have space to be on the site as well. The parking variance I already spoke about. The landscaping variances. So let's talk a little bit about that. Stacy mentioned the text amendment. Most communities allow variances for anything. That gives you the most flexibility, the most authority, the ability to approve and disapprove as they come forward if they meet the requirements of a variance. The UDO for Wooddale is unique, and some of the uniqueness is good, some of it ties hands of developers and staff. Before, hopefully we get this passed, but you were not allowed to grant a variance for landscaping. So we couldn't even ask for it. And so staff at their suggestion said, why don't we, do a text amendment, ask for that. All that's going to do, it's not going to change how much landscaping is done in projects going forward. It's just going to give you, as a board and a city council, more authority and flexibility to make concessions to get redevelopment. The property to the east is the paint store and the staffing place. I don't know, Mike, how many feet higher is that? About 3 feet higher, and they have a row of bushes. That guy, he doesn't care if there's bushes between our 2 buildings, and quite honestly, landscaping between there probably wouldn't even survive. So in order to get this development done, would we want to lose a brand new restaurant in Wooddale over a row of bushes? Of course not. So that's why the text amendment is key. Again, it doesn't mean you have to grant variances going forward, but allows you to do so to get developments moving forward, which is important. The building materials I talked about, again, he's branding. And, we were at 85%. Who said 85% before was the right number? Who says 50% is the right number? You want quality development. This is a quality development with good materials. I don't think it matters what percentage of the stone or masonry is. The other variances are for the signs. I represented the property owner in Bensenville when they got the McDonald's on Irving Park Road in Mason. I think they needed 26 sign code variations for their signs. And staff just said, it's just proof that Bensenville's code back then for signs was a little bit too restrictive. And McDonald's, they call everything a sign. Wooddale's code, better than Bensenville's as far as signage, but it has some things that are required. So Stacy, if you can show 13.
Sorry,
That's okay.
it's acting up.
So, our code says you can't have that above. What's the difference? Again, it's branding. I think it looks great there. The sign above the patio area, why wouldn't you want that there? It's not going to be outgoing, glowing sign. It's going to meet all the photometric requirements. We've already submitted those. Barbecue like a boss, that's branding. And then the mural, I had a judge one time tell me that if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. If you put a pig on a wall, it's a sign. So that's why we're asking for the variance on the sign. I thought it was just a mural. And again, it's just branding. It's just so they're trying to have property rights to brand this so that someday you're going to see Deuce's Wild barbecue sauce sitting right next to Sweet Baby Ray's, probably a bigger display. This is all part of the branding. So that's the idea behind the variances. With that short introduction, Stacy, we have a video.
You do.
And my client.
Yeah. Oh, I'm Deuce Raymond, and I'm a business owner here in Woodville. I am the managing partner of SBR Events Group, which operates Sweet Baby Ray's Catering and True Cuisine special events. I am also the founder and co-owner of Deuce's Wild Competition Barbecue. Many people in the community know my family through Sweet Baby Ray's. My father, Chef Larry Raymond, created the original Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce recipe. Together with my Uncle Dave and their business partner, Mike O'Brien, they built that brand into the most recognizable barbecue brand in America. When the retail sauce business was sold, our family retained the rights to use the name Sweet Baby Ray's for restaurants and catering. That name and that legacy will always be incredibly important to me. But rather than waiting until we are forced to make a change someday, we are choosing to write the next chapter. That next chapter is Deuce's Wild Barbecue. Deuce's Wild began as a name for my competition barbecue team. Over time, it grew into a line of sauces and rubs, and now we are expanding it into a full restaurant concept right here in Woodville. This is not about forgetting the Sweet Baby Ray's story. This is about honoring my father and my uncle, recognizing what they built and carrying that family barbecue legacy forward to the next generation. Wooddale has been home to our restaurant and catering business for more than 20 years. We have employed people here, served families and businesses here, and built lasting relationships in this community. We believe Wooddale is the right place to continue to grow, and Deuce's Wild represents a major investment in this community. Deuce's Wild will not be just another barbecue restaurant. First, the restaurant will tell our family's story. Guests will see where we came from, how Sweet Baby Ray's began, and how Deuce's Wild represents the future of our family's barbecue legacy. Second, we are creating a special guest experience. From the building design and materials to the dining room, menu, and storytelling, every detail has been carefully planned to create a restaurant people will be proud to have in Woodville. Third, the food is built on decades of experience. I have spent nearly 30 years in food service and hospitality as a culinary graduate, chef, caterer, competition barbecue cook, entrepreneur, and barbecue educator. Our menu will be focused and intentional. We want to do barbecue the right way, and we will deliver consistent, high-quality products every single day. Finally, we are incorporating modern ordering, pickup, and drive-through technologies to create a more convenient and accurate guest experience. To bring this vision to life, we have assembled an outstanding professional team. Aria Group is leading the restaurant design and architecture. ADE Restaurant Services and Beth are helping develop the kitchen and equipment layout. Latoria Brother Construction is helping guide the construction and the development process. Every part of this restaurant is being thoughtfully planned with a goal of creating a successful, lasting destination here in Woodville. Deuce's Wild is not just another barbecue joint opening up. It is a professionally designed restaurant built with purpose, care, and a long-term commitment to this community. It represents the next chapter of our family's legacy and a major investment in this community. The Sweet Baby Ray's legacy will not be forgotten. It will be honored, celebrated, and carried forward through Deuce's Wild. I hope the City of Wooddale will support this project, and I look forward to welcoming everybody to the restaurant to experience the food, the story, and the future of our family's barbecue tradition. Thank you.
I know what you're thinking. Show the video, talk about the high-class, great team. What about the lawyer, right? What about the lawyer? There was about 30 minutes Deuce talked about the lawyer and the architect and the engineer, and I decided to cut that out, so I wanted to try to keep it short. So that's why the architect or the engineer and myself did not make the video. All joking aside, to answer Artie's question on the alley, there was concern by one of the CDC members about, and he lives not too far down, I guess that alley is used more often than you think for, actually it ends up being for cut through to avoid Irving Park Road. Sure. We think between signage and assistance with the Wooddale Police Department, that'll help enforcement over there to make sure it's safe. The other thing that's not part of this is long-term, we're trying, this would be step one. The existing Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant is not going anywhere, but it's going to change, and they're going to try to make this a campus feel with the existing commercial business and have this whole kind of campus feel look to make facade improvements to the other two buildings. The existing restaurant will be used for like tastings and small events can be held there. So my client's telling me that in hopefully 5 years or so, this whole corridor will look much different, and hopefully continue to spark redevelopment along Irving Park Road. So I've spoken enough. You need to hear from my client, Deuce Raymond, because he's really passionate about this and ready to answer any questions. Thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Deuce Raymond. I live in Itasca, 1115 Inverness Lane, and the business is Sweet Baby Ray's, True Cuisine, and Deuce's Wild. So 235 East Irving Park Road is where our office is. And this property is 265. So I think the video says a lot. You know, when we started this project a couple years ago, it's something that I've been thinking about for the last 15 years, to be honest. And it's hard for me not to get emotional watching the video because this is all I've done my whole life. And this is something I've been thinking about a really long time. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But I understand all the codes and why they're there. We are not building something just to throw something up. We're doing something because we want this to be successful. And we want to do it here in Wooddale. We don't have to do it here in Wooddale, but we want to. So I understand that we have to abide by the rules and make things right, but we're trying to put this in that property. And it made sense for us to buy the property when Tom Zach said they were selling it. And you know, we want to build the restaurant, and it made sense to do it there. So we're trying to fit in everything we want to do in that property. So there has to be a few adjustments. But the point is not to throw something up. We're putting millions of dollars into this. So of course we want it to be good for the community. We want it to look good. We want people to come there, and it's going to be important to us. We've done a lot on the marketing side, and we're going to continue. We're putting major dollars into a PR company that's going to help the launch of this to make sure it's successful, because that's a big part of the restaurant business is getting the opening correct. And you know, so we're trying as hard as we can to make this the right deal. So it means a lot to me, a lot to my family, and we're excited to start this project. Like I said, we've been working already over a year on getting the right plan together, and we're working with all the best people we know. And they're here tonight, and they can answer any other specific questions, and I can answer questions too, but I appreciate you guys the time and watching the video and hearing what Marshall had to say, so I can answer any questions, though. I'll be happy to.
Alderwoman Ames?
Well, first I want to thank you for that video. That was amazing. I learned a lot about that. We eat there quite a bit. It's absolutely delicious food, and the building is beautiful. I was just concerned about the difference of what's required and what you're proposing, and to see the materials up close would be helpful. It sounds
Sure.
like it's a good quality material. If everything were to move forward and get approved, I know there's the IDOT, permit pending, and the landscape, there's some loose ends. What's the time frame on, like, breaking ground, like demolish, like, what's the, in your mind?
So what
what's
I've been
the
telling
proposed?
everybody, we're going to break ground in July. So I don't know if that's still going to happen, but that's what I would I'd like to see, is breaking ground as soon as we can. We can start demolition until we get the permits. And then I'm putting pressure on this team to be ready to open by December. In my heart of hearts, you guys put earmuffs on, I think we'll be ready to open in March, So I know how construction gets delayed and everything like that, so that would be ideal for me.
That's a very beautiful time frame. If that.
Yes,
I'm
it
sure
is.
that is a lot of pressure, but thank you for explaining that. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Any further questions? Alderwoman Fonseca?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. First of all, thank you for all of that and all of the detailed explanations in the documentation. I did thoroughly read through it, and I also picked their brains, so I appreciate that. And I was actually very excited that you're proposing to have a newer type of building, more modern, more sophisticated, with different materials. So I think it's going to be very inviting.
Yes.
Compared to what else is out there on Irving. And then the whole idea of combining it, all the different, in the 5-year plan.
Yes.
I think that's
Yeah.
very bold, and it's I'm very appreciative of it, living in the area. And I think it'll help other businesses to also try to, for lack of a better word, but ask for variances as well. And I think that our community should be welcoming things like that, just because it does help us move forward instead of being at a status quo. So I appreciate you all putting this presentation together and providing all the documentation as well. You had me until Marshall talked about putting lipstick on a pig. But thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderwoman Ames?
I'd like to make a motion to approve, and I don't know if we need separate motions like the CDC, but I'd like to make a motion to approve
Second
the
that.
variances.
Alderman Woods?
Thank you. I just wanted to make a couple comments. One, thank you for the team and the presentation. It was one of the best ones I've seen. I think this is an example of what we have to deal with and look forward to with all the other sites. The number, the 14 variances that we're requesting is due to the limited size of the lots and properties that we're dealing with along Irving Park Road. So in general, while I fully agree with this one, I just want to express to everybody else, and maybe we have to look at our zoning code or just express our desire to be more open to those variances, because you can't get good substantial development and live with all those setback requirements when you look at all the pieces of property along Irving Park Road, unless you were able to buy out the whole of Irving Park Road. And we in some respects have tried to do that, be proactive, and even with that, we see how that really hasn't worked out the way that we tried to. So with this, well, let me go to the materials too. A while back, when we used to have the brick ordinance for residential property too, and one of the things that, when I first got on the board, was to put through, we had an ordinance where you had the ability to have 3 different facade materials on there to create variations in properties and not have monotony. That became too confusing because everybody, what is that? But really, that's what we're talking about. And to speak to the Nichiwa product that they're using, in a lot of cases, that's more expensive than putting brick on the building, unless you're buying the really expensive, like glazed, colored bricks out there. So they're not trying to get away with anything, as they pointed out, doing anything cheap. So I just wanted to put that in the air, because this is what we're going to have to look at for the next groups that are trying to develop on Irving Park Road. As much as we've debated and went back and forth with Marinos, this is what they're up against too. They have a lot of issues, and those issues create costs. Those costs then knock the development out. People come and look at it and go, I'm not going to go through this. And that's why I was questioning about, do they have to come back for variances if somebody shifts that driveway? Because as you listen to their time frame, which is tight and doable, I'd rather have them excited about moving forward. As I've always said, if people have a good development and they can make money at it, they're going to move heaven and earth to get it done, which is what it sounds like you're directing your team to do. And so with that, I'll stop talking, but I'm in favor. I just wanted to address those things.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments, questions?
Did anybody, I did.
Alderman Woods?
So do we have to do them individually?
No.
Or do we?
No.
Okay, all right.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Fasano.
Yes.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
And Alderman Art Woods.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now, when are we going to, you made me hungry. When are we
I was going to bring samples in, but Mr. Bond said it's not.
That's why you didn't make, that's why you didn't make the presentation.
Always blame the attorney.
Always blame the attorney.
Okay, items to be considered at future meetings, Community Park Design Services, spring, summer, is that right?
That's what
Next
we're
spring
shooting
or
for. Yes, August.
August and next spring?
Oh, not
Says
next
spring, summer.
Okay, we need to update that.
Okay, all right. Any additions? No? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I'd like to call to order the Public Works Committee meeting. Let the minute taker note that the same staff and elected officials are present. I'll start by making a motion to approve the minutes from the June 11th, 2026 meeting.
Second?
Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. First off, approval of an agreement between the City of Wooddale and Builders Paving for the fiscal year 2027 road resurfacing program in an amount not to exceed $678,270. That is my motion.
Second?
Director Lang.
Thank you, Chairman. This year's road program is in Ward 3. The base bid included Welter, Lincoln, and Robin. Alternate 1 was to include Potter Street from Mill to Prospect as well. That was budgeted for in the CIP. There was a second alternate to extend the storm sewers along the back of curb to areas that don't have them currently, so that residents could connect their private drainage systems. That's a lot of impact. That's tearing up a lot of driveways and parkways and interfering with trees and utilities and mailboxes and such. So that's the reason for the exorbitant cost. That's why I'm not recommending we move forward with that alternate at this time. As an alternative, we could survey the area to see who was interested in connecting and provide stubs for those individual properties, or stub out to inlets across the street for future extension as well. But the City Council can elect to include that alternate as well if they desire.
And just to clarify, the $678,000, that excludes alternate 2, right?
Correct. That is the base bid and alternate 1.
And one other question I didn't think of with you. When was the last time that area on Potter was done?
I don't have that information.
Like ballpark, any idea?
I would say late 90s.
Okay. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Alderman Catalano?
Yeah, so there is a residence on Potter that's going to do reconstruction in the driveway, and she wants to tap in. So are we reaching out to those residents that do, or if they do, so what you're saying is we're not going to go through with it?
I've spoken to Ms. Davis about her driveway specifically, but before the program gets started, we would send out a survey to see if any other interested residents would like to connect, and we could get a price from the contractor to extend the storm sewer to their location as well.
Okay, because there is a few on that street that want to extend, connect a sump pump to the, okay, so,
Sure.
that's good. Thank you.
I know the cost was in there, but is there a ton of savings if we were to do, I know it's not budgeted for and we don't have the money for it necessarily, but is there a huge savings involved if we were to do that alternate two? Based on doing it now versus a year from now, coming back out separately?
The cost is really in crossing the street and the pavement patching. So if we were to do it, I would recommend doing it this time, or at least stubbing out
Because you'd have to break
to
the lot
cross the
back up.
street for future extension. But yeah, the majority of the cost is in the restoration, people's aprons and the parkway and the pavement sections.
So we can come back to that part based on the survey results?
Correct.
Any other, Mayor?
Yeah, so Alan, I know we had a little conversation on this, and so basically alternate 2 is what was 200 and some odd thousand, so it put us 150,000 over the budget.
Correct.
And I asked you if there were any other options, and you said something about adding some possible stubs or something would put people closer if people did want to tap in, but we don't have that cost. And I know you're not going to have that tonight. Maybe we should at least explore it and see what that entails, and maybe it still keeps us under budget.
Director?
Yeah, what we could do is get a price from the contractor, determine what locations would make sense to extend it across the street for future expansion from there, and we could bring that back as an amendment to the agreement.
Mayor?
Yeah, again, I'm looking at it as, we're going to do the street, we're not going back there for at least 15 to 20 years, maybe a little longer. So if we could still stay within budget and some other option is available without cutting up the entire parkway, just, I think it's worth looking at.
Sure. Any other questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Wait, hold on. one
Oh, yeah.
second.
Mayor, please.
Are we at least going to direct staff to at least get some pricing on that, just out of curiosity? I mean, that's
I
not
can
gonna-
include that in the motion. I'm fine with that, just to get some direction before.
Right, it's not going to cost us anything extra.
Correct, yeah.
Get some pricing, right? Okay.
Second, you're okay with including that in the
That's
motion?
fine, yes.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Art Woods.
No, I'll wait till we see what's brought back.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Yes.
Alderman Fasano.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of an agreement between the City of Wooddale and Mandeville Construction for the Mary Jane Lane Drainage Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $174,750. That
Second?
Director Lane.
In conjunction with the improvements that the Forest Preserve is doing on their Maple Meadows Golf Course property by adding the detention basin to provide additional storage for this area. There's some minor storm sewer modifications along Mary Jane Lane to increase the size of the conveyance sewers and redirect flow into that basin that are needed. So that's what this is.
Mayor, please.
Just so I remember correctly, this was going to add 2 acre-feet of storage? Was that
Correct.
So about 600,000 gallons or so?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions on this one? Alderman Catalano?
So we got a final, we're going to have a punch list on there. Can we make sure that when they, because I'm sure they're going to be working on some parkway out there, but so can we make sure when the restoration of grass is done that they put the topsoil and they don't put all rock down? Because we've had issues before with other projects that they can't grow the grass after a while, and when the contractor's out, then we got to deal with, can we make sure that they take care of that?
Sure, yeah, the majority of this work is in the street, but there is a little bit of parkway restoration that'll be needed, and we'll make sure that that we see that through.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Woods?
Yeah, just clarification. How many acre feet is this? The project on Mary Jane Lane is going to add 2 acres?
The basin, which this
The
is kind of,
basin.
correct, yeah, this is supplementary to that. Just, we need this work to tie into that basin.
Right, okay, so, gotcha.
Anyone else? Questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
Alderman Artie-Wood.
Yes.
Alderman Fasano.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
And Alderman Edwards.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of a professional services agreement between the City of Wooddale and V3 Engineering for the Mary Jane Lane Drainage Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $25,600. That is my motion.
Second.
Director Lang.
This is for the construction oversight for that drainage work. It's a time and materials basis not to exceed $25,600.
Any questions on this? Roll call, please.
Alderman Edwards.
Yes.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Yes.
Alderman Fasano.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Artie-Wood.
Yes.
And Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of an agreement between the City of Wooddale and R.W. Dutman Company for the Illinois 19 at Central Avenue Signalization Project in an amount not to exceed $1,389,870.60. That is my motion.
Second?
Director Lang.
This is the long-awaited traffic signal at Central and Irving. We finally got IDOT's approval. We were able to put it out to bid, and the bid came in under budget. It's R.W. Dunman who did the intersection improvements at Irving and Wooddale, so they're familiar with the area, and looking forward to getting that done. We hope that we can start work later this year. It depends on their availability and the material lead times.
Questions on this? No. Roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
Alderman Artie-Wood.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Fasano.
Yes.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
And Alderman Edwards.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of a professional services agreement between the City of Wooddale and H.R. Green for the Illinois 19 at Central Avenue Signalization Project in an amount not to exceed $135,422. That is my motion.
Second?
Director.
Once again, construction oversight. This is for the intersection improvement project. Both of these, the construction and the engineering, will be using motor fuel tax funds.
Questions on this? Alderman Woods?
Never mind. I answered my own question.
All right. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Alderman Edwards.
Yes. Finally.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Yes.
Alderman Fasano.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Artie-Wood.
Yes.
And Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. And finally, approval of a proposal from Flow Technics, Inc. for the wastewater treatment plant blower replacement project in an amount not to exceed $229,938. That is my motion.
Second?
Director Lang.
The South Wastewater Treatment Plant uses 3 blowers that provide oxygen to the aeration tanks to aid the microorganisms in breaking down the organic matter. One of the blowers has gone out. The other 2 are from the 1960s. We like to have that redundancy in there. We need a minimum of at least 2. In the future plant upgrades, these can either be reused or they can be transferred over to North Plant as they're the same model that we use there.
And I'm assuming, obviously, this wasn't budgeted for since it was unexpected, or?
This was budgeted for in the CIP.
Any questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Alderman Edwards.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderman Fasano.
Yes.
Alderman Artie-Wood.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderwoman Fonseca.
Yes.
And Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
And that passes. Items to be considered at future meetings, vehicle replacement program during summer or fall. Does anyone have anything that they can add? Alderwoman Ames.
Yes, I have a couple items that I know were brought up recently from the storms that we had that I just kind of wanted to get out there for future follow-up. In Ward 4, we've had some flooding issues on Catalpa, south of Commercial. as well as on Oak and Stoneham heading south in that direction. So I know the city has responded, Public Works has been out there to speak with the residents and follow up with some engineering expertise out there. So thank you for that speedy response, but I would like to continue to look at this and, see what the city can do. And also, ComEd was a big topic of conversation over the storm weekend of 4th of July, where Catalpa Avenue specifically had a lot of extending power outages during that time, as well as when it's not even raining. They've had a lot of issues with transformers going out on a clear sunny day, and they just want to really escalate this to ComEd, to our service rep, or whoever it is that can help get some resolution and maybe upgrade some equipment there. I just kind of want to get that out there so that they know that we're really advocating to get ComEd to take a look at this area for any improvements. So if we can bring that up and follow up on that, that'd be appreciated.
Alderman Woods?
Yeah, I can't remember the timing, but 4 years ago, 8 years ago, I thought we went through ComEd. I thought we went through all the wards and updated a lot of the systems, the transformers, the lines, slackners, tensioners, some other like breakers on the lines.
Manager Mertens?
You are remembering correctly. We did have a particular issue in Ward 4 that was quite concerning to a lot of the neighbors out there. City of Wooddale did advocate very strongly to get some of this infrastructure upgraded out there. ComEd did update the infrastructure out there, and the residents were very pleased with it at the time, and the outages just plummeted. Up until about a month ago, we hadn't heard any further issues. We're starting to hear these issues pop back up. So we've already proactively reached out to ComEd, and we'll advocate again, obviously. But I was planning on putting updates in the manager's report on how this progresses.
Follow up?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I know we were proactive, staff was proactive, that's why I was questioning. Do we know? I think one of the issues back then was that there's a certain percentage of the power lines that run through the backyards, and those were an issue as opposed to the ones that are running on the parkway. Do we know where those outages, was that a product of backyard versus parkway?
I think it's multifaceted, some of the issues out there. It's a unique instance where a lot of the ComEd easements run along the backyard. There's some mature trees out there. The access is tough to get at the actual tree trimming. Also, there is potentially some infrastructure out there that could be updated again.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
I get her first. You, Alderwoman Fonseca, and then the mayor.
I just wanted to point out that it's not limited to Ward 4. It is happening across the board. It is happening in Ward 1 as well. There has been some ComEd, not necessarily long outages, but a lot of flickering.
Go ahead, Mr. Mertens.
Typically, what ComEd asks for is specific addresses that are having issues to kind of get started on the work. So if you can go back to any of your constituents or notes, just email me or let me know, and then that would help arm me with ammunition to go get that going.
Sounds good.
Mayor, please.
I'll start with the flickering. So years ago when they did those upgrades, it's part of the smart grid and all that stuff. So what happens is, if it goes out, this section goes out, there's some kind of transfer switch, and the lights come back on. Unfortunately, here at Catalpa, speaking to the representative, and she was coordinating with Alan a lot, because I know Jeff was out, but talking to her, so the main wires, there's 3 feeder lines over the top. Those are the main feeders. They had 2 lines were broken. One right on Catalpa, the tree fell on it and cracked it. There was another spot, and then there was a pole. She said she wasn't sure if it got hit by lightning or if it got knocked down. But I know the staff has been working with trying to work on the transformer there and whatnot. But she says they've escalated this, and they're going to be doing some tree trimming in that area specifically. We're going to get more information over the next couple of weeks, which Jeff is now going to pass it along to us as he gets that information. But they've escalated the situation because over there on Catalpa, I think since March, they've went out 6 times. Some of that time, it wasn't even raining. So those people are upset.
That's why I thought we fixed it, but obviously.
Yeah, well, something.
It's not fixed.
Well, there was a couple, this was kind of weird because she said 2 lines.
That took out the primary lines on top.
In 2 different spots, plus a pole. And luckily, they got them up and running 12 hours earlier than what they had said, but there should be more. She told me, she promised she's going to be sending you guys some information and keeping us up to date.
Mr. Murmas?
Yeah, actually, when we had the initial problem out there in Ward 4, that was actually probably around 2012 or 2013, so it had been that long ago, and it had been relatively quiet from a residential complaint, so obviously something has changed or more updates are needed.
Alderwoman Ames?
Just to add too, like with this last power outage for the Catalpa residents, they were out from Thursday to Sunday. So they did not have any power in between that. And thankfully, many of them took advantage of our generator reimbursement program with the cost share. So they at least had that, but there was medical issues and things out there that people weren't able to have power for. So that's why they're very upset and obviously reached out quite a bit about it. So I appreciate all of your diligence in getting a hold of ComEd and getting some answers.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.